Yes, sir. So we found a few things this week that we thought were really interesting in automotive history. And we're going to start with April the 6th. Now, this is whenever Audi was founded. Now, the August Horsch actually established Audi. He was actually with a company called Horsch Automobiles. He helped create that company, started it out from scratch. And then he lost that in a little bit of a conflict with his partners. Now he ended up going and creating his own company, which he named Audi, which is actually a translation of Horsch into the German language. So that's how that name came about. And it went through a lot of iterations, a lot of mergers and things, and it finally ended up with the Volkswagen Group where it is now. Now, on April the 8th in 1911, the Electric Auto Light Company was founded. Now, this was important because they produce electrical components, and they produce enough of them for enough of the different companies that were being created that it helped standardize the automotive electronics that came during that period of growth. Now, you may have heard of the Auto Light Company, but the Auto Light name was actually associated a whole lot with Ford. Ford bought them. It was part of their spark plugs, a lot of things like that. And they ended up, lawsuits, etc. Lawyers got involved again. They ended up selling Autolite name to Bandex. And then whenever it also created, and what was left of it went to create Prestolite, which you may see and hear, because that's what helped get cars away from the systems they developed, got away from the hand cranks over to the starters that they happened to be building. Then in April the 10th, 1925, the Chrysler launched the Model 70. Now, this was really their first vehicle, and it created a lot of engineering innovations that kind of brought on to the industry. The high-compression engines, four-wheel hydraulic brakes were introduced on this vehicle. So it set a lot of standards for the future as the cars came into the market, as well as for Chrysler. Now, on April the 10th, 1912, the RMS Titanic sailed. Now, I bring up the Titanic because it's not really an automotive event, but it was such a big disaster. So many people got involved in looking at the safety things that could have been done to prevent that or help minimize the damage that was done to it. It create all this mitigation and rolled over into the automotive segments, and cars became a lot more safer because of the things that people learned from that disaster. Now, on April the 11th, 1947, Kaiser Fraser Corporation was created. Now, this was, of course, Henry J. Kaiser and Joseph W. Fraser. They launched that to challenge Detroit's Big Three. Now, they had a lot of bold styling, a lot of things going on in that. And the company founded with two different models. The Kaiser was a front-wheel drive model, and the Fraser was a rear-wheel drive model. Now, they were involved, and they built from 1942 to 1943. It evolved into buying Willis, and then got into the Jeeps and a lot of other things before they actually went out of business. The April 5th, 1936, the introduction of the Lincoln Zephyr. Now, this vehicle was made from 1936 to 1942. It had the V12 engine in it. It was a little more affordable than some of the other Lincoln models, so it was really a market hit. However, World War II started. A lot of companies stopped production. And the Lincoln, when it came back out of World War II, started production again. However, it no longer had that Zephyr name. So it just really wasn't resurrected. And that's a few of the things we found this week in automotive history that we thought were pretty interesting.